Let's make some delicious corn boiled in coconut milk. The first step is to cut the corn. Well, I purchased my corn already shucked, but if you do get yours with the husk on, you need to remove all of the husk and wash it before cutting it into pieces. And I purchased this corn from a local farm stand. It is super sweet. For this recipe, I highly recommend using fresh corn. I actually don't like frozen corn and it becomes really mushy, especially since this cooks for a while. And now I've gathered my seasonings and the thyme and the basil I got from my garden. I'm just using some butcher's twine to tie it into a little bundle. This way it's easy to fish it out once the food is cooked. Once I wrap the twine around the bundle, I am just going to make a knot to make sure it's nice and secure and that it doesn't come loose in the pot. Now that's done, the next thing I'm going to do is prepare the basil. I've picked off the stems, put it in one layer, and then I'm going to roll the leaves tightly. And then I am just going to finely chop the basil. The technical term for this method is the chiffonade, but let's just say that we're going to chop it into thin strips. The next thing I'm going to do is to remove the seeds from the wiri wiri pepper. I'm just going to cut it in half, then use a fork to hold it just to make sure that the pepper doesn't get on my fingers, and then just scoop out the seeds. It's just super easy to do it this way. Next thing I'm going to do is to take the corn and place it into the pot that I'm going to cook it in. And I like to kind of nestle it in there to try to get it to be like one layer as much as possible. Then I'm going to add coconut milk. And this is canned coconut milk, but of course you can also make homemade coconut milk and use that instead. I'm also adding some water just to cover the corn. Then I'm going to add the thyme, the basil, we're going to add the pepper, and I'm also going to add salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And this is just a seasoning that I'm using. I like to keep things simple, but you can use additional seasoning. You can add scallion, you can add any other seasoning that you prefer. Then I'm going to stir this all together, place it onto the fire and bring it to a boil and allow it to cook like this uncovered for about 35 to 40 minutes until the liquid cooks down and is nice and thick. It needs to be thick enough to cling to the corn, and look at that, absolutely delicious. If you've enjoyed this recipe, give me a thumbs up and I'll see you next time.